In the annals of exploration, few stories are as harrowing and inspiring as that of Ernest Shackleton and his crew aboard the Endurance. It was a time when the world's last great frontier, Antarctica, beckoned explorers to conquer its frozen wilderness. Shackleton, a seasoned adventurer, had already been to the icy continent. But in 1914, he set his sights on something far more daring, the first ever land crossing of Antarctica. A feat never before attempted. Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, set sail from England with 27 brave men on board. Their goal was simple: to cross the Antarctic continent via the South Pole. But the vast and unpredictable wilderness they sought to conquer had other plans. Unbeknownst to them, this would become one of the greatest survival stories in history, a tale not of glory, but of endurance. The journey began smoothly, but as they approached the Weddell Sea, the crew encountered something they hadn't anticipated: unusually heavy ice. The Endurance was soon surrounded by thick, impenetrable floes of ice. Shackleton ordered the crew to press forward, hoping the ice would eventually release its grip. But with every passing day, the frozen ocean tightened around them. By January 1915, the Endurance was completely immobilized. The crew, once optimistic, now faced the grim reality: they were prisoners of the ice. Shackleton, ever the leader, made a fateful decision: they would wait. His men would have to endure the brutal Antarctic winter, trapped aboard a ship slowly being crushed by the relentless ice. For months, the crew clung to hope. But the Antarctic is unforgiving, and as the days turned into weeks, the pressure of the ice began to take its toll on the ship. The creaking timbers groaned under the weight until, on October 27, 1915, Shackleton was forced to give the order: abandon ship. The Endurance, their last link to civilization, was sinking. Stranded on a vast, frozen expanse with no hope of rescue, the men of the Endurance faced a seemingly impossible challenge. Their home now was a barren wasteland of ice, stretching endlessly in every direction. Shackleton knew that leadership would be the key to survival, so he kept his men busy, assigning tasks and maintaining morale. They hunted seals and penguins, conserving what little food they had, all while braving temperatures that plunged far below freezing. Months passed, and the ice floe on which they camped began to drift north. But hope was fragile, and danger was always near. The ice beneath their feet groaned and shifted constantly, threatening to break apart at any moment. Shackleton's plan was to wait until the ice drifted close enough to land or open water, where they could attempt to escape in lifeboats. But every day brought new dangers. The cold was relentless, the isolation suffocating. Still, Shackleton refused to let despair take hold. His mantra echoed through the frozen air: "Men, we must survive." In April 1916, the ice finally began to break. Shackleton ordered his men to the lifeboats. They would sail to Elephant Island, a desolate, wind-lashed rock far from any shipping lanes. It was a desperate gamble, but it was their only hope. After 7 grueling days at sea, they reached the barren shores of Elephant Island. But this was no refuge, just another inhospitable place in the heart of the Southern Ocean. Shackleton knew they couldn't survive there for long. In a final act of courage, he and 5 of his strongest men embarked on an even more perilous journey, a 720 nautical mile voyage to South Georgia Island, where they hoped to find rescue. For 16 days, they battled the world's roughest seas in an open lifeboat. Freezing rain, howling winds, and monstrous waves tested their resolve, but Shackleton's leadership and their collective willpower kept them going. Against all odds, they reached South Georgia. But even upon reaching South Georgia, the ordeal wasn't over. Shackleton had to cross the island's mountainous, unmapped terrain to reach the whaling station. With no rest, he and his men scaled icy peaks and treacherous cliffs, driven by the knowledge that the lives of their comrades depended on them. Finally, they reached the whalers. Shackleton wasted no time organizing a rescue mission. He returned to Elephant Island on August 30, 1916. Miraculously, all 22 men left behind were still alive, having survived over 4 months on the ice, never giving up hope that their leader would come back for them. Not a single man was lost. Against impossible odds, Shackleton's leadership, determination, and unbreakable spirit had saved them all. Their journey has gone down in history as one of the greatest survival stories ever told. Shackleton's name has become synonymous with endurance, both the name of his ill-fated ship and the unyielding will of the men who sailed it. Thank you for watching. Stay curious and never stop exploring the unknown.